You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. Whether it's for food, fuel, drinks, or snacks, about half the U.S. population shops at a convenience store every day. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
And do you know what people care about when they go to convenience stores? Clean. Clean as in, they want clean bathrooms. That communicates a clean food service offer. They want to see a clean forecourt, because that communicates that you care about the environment, you care about your business, you care about customers. So clean is in. Green will make you green. So that said, I'm Jeff Lenard. Welcome to Convenience Matters.
And I'm Carolyn Schnare with NACS. Thanks for listening.
So today we're going to talk about green and how being green can help grow your business. And for that, we welcome on the phone Mike Rosen, who is Chief Marketing Officer with Keep America Beautiful. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks so much, Carolyn. Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate being with you on behalf of the entire Keep America Beautiful family and all of our affiliates across the country.
So we have worked with Keep America Beautiful, NACS has, in terms of coming out with a guidebook to look at issues related to recycling and litter management and waste. And we're working with Keep America Beautiful on your next big. Every 10 years, you come out with a trash and recycling guide where you dive deep into what we can do to make a difference in keeping America beautiful. Can you give a little overview about what you're going to be doing in this study?
Sure. And actually, it dates back even beyond 10 years ago. So in the late 60s, in 1968-69, Keep America Beautiful came out with what was really the first study on litter and littering behavior in America. We updated that study in 2008-2009, so 40 years after the first study. And now, coming on 10-year hence, as we celebrate our 65th anniversary this year, we are in the process of beginning to field an update to that study. And it's really focused on all the elements that impact litter. We look at the sources of litter, pedestrian areas and key transition points, littering behavior, the cost of littering, and that's something people don't talk enough about, the economic cost of littering. We talk about cigarette butt litter, which remains the number one form of litter in America. So it's very exciting now. We want to make sure, and this is research used globally. It's referenced all around the world. And we're looking forward to updating it to see what the litter landscape looks like today.
I'd be interested. I am extremely interested in this, but I'm curious because 10 years ago, especially even more than 40 years ago, the stuff people use is so different. The food containers, people are taking out more. They're taking away from convenience stores. They're taking away from restaurants and grocery stores. They're getting things delivered to their home now in different kind of packaging. It's just so the plastics and the way cardboard is, all this stuff. So I'd have to imagine the makeup of that litter has changed so significantly just in the last few years, just because of the way things are made. If you could guess, what are some of the things that are going to be different from not 40 years ago, but 10 years ago?
Well, I could tell you, we wouldn't want to make any absolute suppositions about what has changed, but it does. I think it is meaningful to look back on what did change from the 1969 study to the 2009 study. And to your point, Carolyn, the incidence of plastic items in the litter stream had increased over 165%. During that period. That reflected a 340% per capita increase in the use of plastic packaging over that 40-year period. I think and I expect we'll continue to see that here. But there were a lot of positive signs that had changed from 69 to 2009. Visible litter on our nation's roadways had decreased by some 60+% in that 40-year period. Paper, metal, glass, beverage container litter had decreased during that period. But I do think that as times have changed, as consumption habits have changed, we will see changes in what we're seeing and what is littering the landscape today. And I do think plastic, as we've read about it, will continue to be something that we see and that we will certainly continue to address.
You mentioned roadside litter, and I was watching a documentary on CNN couple weeks ago, and it was on the Kennedys, and they were showing something. One of the Kennedy sisters passed away late 1940s. They showed the procession of cars going down the highway, and at first I thought it was snowing, But it turned out all that white stuff on the side of the road was trash. And it was just horrifying how much roadside trash there was.
Oh yeah, Jeff, I was telling you about Mad Men. I was binge watching that not too long ago, and like they were just driving down the road. They'd finished a picnic and they took an entire bag of their entire lunch, and they literally chucked it out the side of the car on this beautiful countryside with rolling hills and a bag of food just rolling on down there. And that was in the 60s or so. I think that was now that had to have huge back then. Like, was it accepted? Was it not? What was the deal?
Well, I think in society was different then, and I think you saw it reflected in our iconic public service ad campaign that came out in 1971, that's commonly referred to today as the Crying Indian. That campaign showed that behavior, and it was part of behavior, and I think we have seen over time. You don't see quite as much as that. It doesn't mean we've eliminated it, but certainly I don't think that's a norm today. You don't see that happening on your TV shows that are based in the 21st century. That said, with certain items, you still do. I certainly, I have high school aged kids, and every time we're in the car and they see a car in front of us or next to us throw a cigarette out the window, they go, "Oh, how can that person do that?" And I've sat in focus groups with adult smokers, and they do it primarily because they don't think it's litter. They believe it'll biodegrade. So that's one instance where we can help educate a specific targeted audience, and we believe change behavior. Our cigarette litter prevention program has done that. We've implemented that for about 13 years in more than 1,700 communities, and the average reduction in cigarette litter is more than 50% when we implement that program.
And it's great. Sometimes it's just telling the same message as long as you can, and eventually it resonates. And I know a big part of the story today is the business case for companies to be involved and looking at if you have recycling on site, what does that do to your waste hauling costs and issues related to that? Do you have any stories, Mike, about companies who are making a difference, doing more recycling, doing something unique, and it's really rewarding them with more customers or cost savings related to their business?
Well, I think you're seeing it across the board. I think a lot of companies, including ones we work with, are taking the responsibility seriously. So whether that be the beverage companies that are working to use more recyclable content in their packaging, and working with us to put more public space recycling bins in communities all over the country. We work with Coca-Cola. We work with Dr. Pepper Snapple Group. They're both working. We work with Nestle Waters North America. They're all working to improve access to recycling so they can have that stream of good materials to create new products. And I think that's also something we need to, as stakeholders in recycling, all of us, businesses, nonprofits like Keep America Beautiful, associations, and government entities need to work together to help improve that stream of recycled material so we can create new products. Our Be Recycled public service campaign is all about that. It's all about when you recycle, you are creating something new. And there's an economic benefit there, there's an environmental benefit there, and there's certainly, we think, a social benefit that connects people to their places. When we improve recycling, we advance our fight to end littering as well. And I think people don't always look at them together. They sometimes put on blinders and look at things in a vacuum. But recycling and litter are completely related.
Yeah, and I think that's something that that is something at NACS that we're working really hard is to help our retailers know what they need to know about recycling. So we've been working with a number of groups and have released a number of toolkits and pilots about how to recycle, what you should do and why you should do it, and who to call and what to do, because it's so different, municipality and local and county and state, and everybody has their own rules. And for an operator that works or that has stores in multiple regions and multiple states, it's very difficult. You got to keep on top of that. But we're working to get that out there. So anyone who's listening, if you're doing some recycling or if you're doing some really solid waste management at your stores, I would love to hear from you, because I want to tell everybody how good you're doing. So this is Carolyn. Give me a shout. But back to Mike.
As long as they don't think it was Jeff talking.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'd say we would love to help. We would love to help in that cause. We when we talk about recycling, we often talk about the 3 C's: convenience, communication, and cause. Convenience is about is just that, making it as easy as possible, having recycling bins within an easy place. So whether if it's a convenience store that has fueling stations, have recycling there. So as someone's cleaning out their car, they have the ability to not just throw out trash, but to recycle as well. Communication is signage. Educational material, awareness material, so people know what goes in the bins. We've done a lot of research on proper signage for recycling bins. And finally, it's cause, and that really means getting people to understand why it matters to them and their community. And that goes back to, and I've said it throughout our conversation, it goes back to an environmental commitment and an economic commitment and that social commitment to do better for your community.
And it's interesting you mentioned the communication element, because it used to be there was one garbage can, and you threw everything there that you didn't throw on the side of the road. And then it was two garbage cans, and one of them was for recycling. And we've recently learned that there's a 2-inch rule with recycling for plastics in particular. If it's smaller than 2 inches, it's going to fall through the cracks. So one thing we learned, you can stick bottle caps on bottles, but if they go in by themselves, it doesn't really work in recycling. So then there were 2 garbage cans, and now you're starting to see 3 garbage cans. One is for the landfill, one is for compost, and one is for recycling. So the key with all that is the education and the communication, and to make it simple. And I know that recycling is associated with the blue garbage can. I believe compost has a greenish garbage can.
That's
but
correct.
Just trying to make it as simple as possible, because if you start making too many words there, the easy thing is to just
Throw it all in the bin.
Throw it in one bin,
Whichever bin's
there's
closest.
1 out of 3 shot, you're getting it right. So
Bin
that's a
placement,
big that's a
you're
big
100%
threat.
right, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, bin placement, bin signage, and bin color, and coming together with consistency. Because there are, recycling regulations, municipality by municipality might be different. But if we can, as stakeholders in recycling, come together to agree on those things, we will make it easier and more convenient for the consumer to understand. Because we have research that shows consumers have very high intent to recycle. We just need to make it easier for them.
Now you have Keep America Beautiful has some great milestone programs that anybody can get behind, whether it's schools or retailers or vendors. And I know one of them is Earth Day. I think everybody knows, maybe everybody doesn't know, but it's April 22nd. Every year is Earth Day. But can you tell us about some of the other big moments, months, and
Sure.
I guess celebrations?
Well, Keep America Beautiful loves April. We love April for a few reasons. One, it is Keep America Beautiful month. Which predated me. I've been here for a little more than 3 years, but folks who have been here 30 years heard about Keep America Beautiful month, so it's been around for a long time. It's on the calendar with National Chocolate Day and all the other days that are out there. But part of it is the Great American Cleanup is our signature national program. There are more than 60,000 events that take place spring, summer, fall, in the winter in the warmer regions than where I am now here in Connecticut. But everywhere, the Great American Cleanup touches our 3 pillars: to end littering, to improve recycling, and to beautify communities. More than 5 million volunteers participate in Great American Cleanup events throughout the country, and they really are. There's a huge spike in activity around Earth Day and as the weather warms. So April, May, June, we see a lot of activity. Slows down a little bit in the summer times and then picks up in the fall. And in the fall, we have our big signature recycling and national recycling initiatives. Recycle Bowl is our K-12 school-based recycling competition. Some 1,200 schools participate on an annual basis, and we're looking to increase that number. So if you're in a community and you're involved with your schools, send them to Keep America Beautiful to KAB.org and let them know about Recyclable. We'd love to have them join us. And Recyclable starts in mid-October and ends on November 15th, which is America Recycles Day, the only national day that recognizes and celebrates recycling in America. And we often celebrate that with presentations at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and events, recycling education and collection events all over the country. More than 2,000 events were registered this year. We reached nearly 2 million people participated in events this year that we know about who registered with us.
And you make it easy, KAB.org.
KAB.org.
You have a ton of resources, printable posters. There's a fun game I actually played for probably too long. Sorry, Jeff. I was enjoying recycling and putting things into bins and stuff.
That's right. You could jump off from KAB.org to some of our program-specific sites. So the game you're talking about is our Recycling Journey game on the Be Recycled Public Service Campaign website. But you could find that all through KAB.org. AmericaRecyclesDay.org has tremendous resources as well, rich resources to help improve recycling in your community, both for an individual and for a business.
You also have some new PSAs coming out, and for those who don't know what PSAs are, public service announcements, and just going back and telling the story about how people can make a difference and why it's important to make a difference.
That's right, and I appreciate you bringing that up. So for the last few years, we've been in the marketplace specifically focused on recycling. Our I Want to Be Recycled public service campaign has received nearly $200 million in donated media to date in just over 3 years, with some fantastic support from our partners. But it's been a long time since we've been out there with a public service ad about the broader work that Keep America Beautiful does to inspire and educate people to take action every day for their community, to beautify and improve their community. So we are just about to launch. We might have launched just now. We are launching right around Earth Day a great new public service campaign focused on the incredible work of Keep America Beautiful. And it's really about engaging the next generation of community stewards, community environmentalists, who are going to lead us to the future, and who might not have been alive in the 1970s when our iconic public service campaign first came out there and Keep America Beautiful first really came on the map and came on the scene. But we've been doing incredible work all over the country. Again, we have 600-plus affiliates in cities as large as New York City and in rural towns as small as Utopia, Texas, and everywhere in between. And they share one common goal. Everyone wants to live in a clean, green, and beautiful place. And we share that vision for the entire country. We think everybody has a right to live in a clean, green, and beautiful place. And we all share in that responsibility as individuals, as businesses, to help fulfill that vision.
I'm really intrigued by the Recycle Bowl and how kids who generally affect purchasing decisions, they aren't necessarily driving in the car. They might be in the back seat, but they're basically telling us where to shop. And when they feel committed to a place because they believe in what that place does, that place gets the business. So there really is a business case to be made that this can drive traffic. It can also reduce costs, and there's a lot of reasons that you want to get more involved with Keep America Beautiful, with recycling, and some of those issues. So we're pretty excited about what you're doing in April in launching new programs and continuing throughout the year.
And as are we, and we really, we appreciate the partnership we have with NACS. And, convenience stores are a central hub of communities all over the country. And we are all about improving and beautifying local communities, community by community, state by state, block by block. So we appreciate the partnership, and we appreciate the support in getting our message out there.
So for retailers and suppliers and vendors and anyone listening to this that works within the convenience industry or outside of it, besides volunteering or taking part in a local cleanup and doing things like that, they can certainly help Keep America Beautiful out in some other ways. I know the litter study, you're seeking help with that going forward, and that's going to launch later?
That's correct. So we are... we are a not-for-profit organization. We have been since our founding. So we are supported by individual and corporate donations. And certainly it helps. But there are plenty of other ways to help. Spread the word. Go get engaged with one of your local Keep America Beautiful affiliates in your community. You could visit KAB.org, punch in your zip code, and find affiliates near you, and volunteer your time. If you have employees who are interested in getting out into the community to support the place in which not only they work, but they live, let us know. We do an extraordinary amount of employee volunteerism events all over the country, focused on all three of our pillars: to end littering, to improve recycling, and to beautify communities. So there are a lot of ways to help. But most importantly, it's get involved. Volunteer. We really want to become and continue to grow our work as the premier community-based volunteer organization in the country and beyond, because we think our model to change behavior works here and can work anywhere.
Well, I think that's a fabulous tenet to follow and to live by. And, reach down, pick up that piece of litter, and if it's recyclable, put it in the right place. But, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS. and produced in conjunction with Human Factor Media. For more information, visit convenience.org.